It's skin crawling. It's just, ugh, and I love it. Your energy, it fills me up. Now here, have a Scooby snack. Bing! Okay, what's going on here? This place looks a little, okay. I guess it's like a burlesque strip club type deal? Not entirely sure, but it's where you see lonely guys looking for love go. I'm talking about mansions, furs, cars, boats, and hoes. Put a dummy in the street, hit it with a car. Boom! Happy Valentine's Day, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Reviews from the Crypt. Finally made it to season 2. And I have to tell you, after the atrocity that was the last episode, this rekindled my whole love for this series. Not only do we have a star-studded cast, but Stephen Dodd is back in the writer's chair. And along with Stephen Dodd, we have a returning director, Howard Dutch. And you might remember him from episode 4, Only Sin Deep. You remember, the Pretty Woman episode? Well, this episode is pretty much a love story. Hence, kind of the theme. Get you in the mood a little bit. Be my Valentine. This love story is called Dead Right, and it follows the love tale of Kathy Finch, who's played by the lovely Demi Moore. If you don't know who Demi Moore is, then we kind of have a problem here. But you might recognize Demi from movies such as Charlie's Angels, G.I. Jane, and her most recent performance in the movie called The Substance, which she did win an Emmy for. But we follow Kathy on her quest to find love. Not love in the traditional sense. She's not looking to marry for substance. Well, in a way she is. She's looking to marry for money. Now, I ain't saying she's a gold digger, but Kathy's just kind of tired of working. She doesn't want to be working anymore. She wants to be taken care of. But she's kind of like me, right? It's a little hard to find love out there, so she needs a little guidance. And we see her in the beginning of this episode just kind of walking down the street, down this back alleyway, into kind of a little shop of horrors almost. She was told by a coworker about this little place called Madame Vorna's Fortune Telling. So she thought, hey, since I'm on my lunch break, might as well give it a shot. Go down here, see what's up, see what she can tell me. So Kathy goes walking in, and she sees, actually, it's not a bad looking shop either. You see this nice little gypsy lady and her lovely, lovely little puppy called Trotsky are sitting on the counter. Madame Vorna's just watering plants, just keeping it nice and tight. Kathy's looking around. She's all like, okay, what's going on here? This place looks a little, okay. Well, after the introductions and all that jazz, she asked Madame Vorna, she's like, so what's the deal? You use tarot cards, crystal ball, or what? And Madame Vorna was like, no, darling, no, nothing like that. I use what is called the second sight. Your energy, it fills me up. But I take that energy and I take a glimpse into your future. And they sit down from across each other, and Madame Vorna starts doing her little second sight deal, and she gets the bing, the light bulb above her head. It's so funny because she kind of flat out tells Kathy that like all her life she's been a working girl, and she's kind of tired of the routine, but she knows that Kathy wants to marry for money. She flat out calls her a gold digger, and she does get the good read on Kathy, but it just kind of feels like one of those fortune teller scams. You know what I mean? Like those late night hotline calls. They're people readers, and that's what it feels like. So Kathy's like, yeah, okay, real nice, not bad. But Madame Vorna also tells Kathy that today you're going to lose your job. And this is where Kathy kind of blows off the whole gimmick and just said, yeah, okay, whatever. My boss is out of town. He doesn't even know. She's like, no. You're going to lose your job today. But by the end of the day, you'll have a new one. You'll have a new job and a new life. And after this new information, again, Kathy just thinks this is all a gimmick and just for show, whatever. It only cost her $20. So she's on her way out the door. She's got to get back to work. But as she's walking out, I guess Trotsky gets in the loving mood too, because Trotsky gets a little frisky with Kathy's leg. But now we arrive back at work, and she's telling her friend at the office about how the whole fortune telling was just a big joke. And she's like, she said Mr. Clayton was going to fire me today, and I told her that asshole is out of town. Little does Kathy know that asshole came back early. And in good old fashion, he overheard everything that she just said. But he goes on to tell Kathy, he's like, you know what? I'm not the type of boss that gets his feelings hurt by every little thing that's said about him. But one thing we don't tolerate around here is being late for lunch. And he takes a look at Kathy's punch card, and I guess she was a little over time on her lunch break. As the fortune was told, Kathy loses her job. And down on her luck, she's strolling the streets thinking, oh, God, what am I going to do with my life? Just lost my job. And she's walking past this bar owner and this other working girl kind of having a little spat outside. This dude's firing another woman, and he looks over at Kathy. He's like, hey, You want a job? She looks back at him. She's like, you talking to me? Like, yeah, you want a job. So I guess Madame Vorna was telling the truth. She's not a scam artist. She's the real deal. Honestly, Kathy can't believe it. So she runs back to Madame Vorna and she's like, you weren't fucking kidding. Madame Vorna's like, of course I was right, darling. Of course. Madame Vorna's never wrong. And Kathy's just like, all right, so what else are you going to tell me? And so Madame Vorna tells her, yes, honey, I do see you marrying into money. Lots of money. I see a man in black. You are in white. It's your wedding day. Oh, how nice. Kathy, she's all just like, oh, yeah, whatever. But tell me more about the money. And Madame Vorna just says, well, honey, at first he's not going to be rich. And when Kathy hears that he's not going to be rich at first, she shows her true gold digger side. Like, I'm not going to marry some scrub that doesn't have money. I want to marry you rich. I'm talking about mansions, furs, cars, boats, and hoes. But Madame Vorna has to tell her that her husband's going to inherit a lot of money, but then he's going to die a violent death. And this gets Kathy a little more interested in the story. And Madame Vorna tells him, you're actually going to meet this man tonight, but he's a very large man. We don't know what large means in this sense. We just know that we're looking for a big guy. And with all this information, Kathy's now on board. She wants them boats and coats. So fast forward to tonight, we see Kathy work in the bar that she's at now. I guess it's like a burlesque strip club type deal? Not entirely sure, but it's where you see lonely guys looking for love go. And as she's getting some drinks for her customers, she turns around and she notices a large man, our key figure. And when I mean large, I mean large. This guy just kind of towers everybody. He's 3 doors wide. He's a huge fucking guy. And Kathy just sees this guy and is like, oh, holy shit. This guy's like a truck. But her boss is telling her that, hey, be nice to this guy. He's one of our best customers, okay? Treat him well. So Kathy finally walks up to this big guy. And this is where we get our first glimpse of the large man. The large man's played by a very well-known actor, Jeffrey Tambor. And Jeffrey, you might recognize him from Arrested Development. He's also been in Hellboy. And he was also in a movie called Operation Endgame. But as the big guy is giving Kathy his drink order, he loves Rob Roy's. He finally looks up at Kathy and he's just kind of, he's taken back a little bit. He's speechless, love at first sight type deal. And he just stops Kathy in her tracks and she's like, is there something else I can get you? And he looks at her and he just, date tonight? And her response is, it's no problem for the drink, but yeah, right, on the date, fuck that. And he immediately turns around and he's like, hey, are you playing hard to get? It's like, no, try impossible. And as she walks up to put in the order for the large man, she turns around and she realizes that is who Madame Vorna was talking about. And so we progress through the night. Kathy's on her break, just kind of hanging out at work. But then we get into like the real life situation here where customers start harassing work staff. It's a very common thing in like bars and restaurants and stuff like that. And it comes through in this episode too. Like the big guy is just the biggest fucking creep. He comes out of nowhere and just starts harassing Kathy because he's the type of guy that doesn't take no for an answer. He wants that date and nothing's going to stop him. But literally all this time that he's pursuing her, she's literally fat shaming the guy the entire fucking time. It's one of those social cues that the guy is just not getting, that she's not interested. It's not getting through his head. But he's going to keep trying because, I mean, it's Demi Moore. Come on, right? And so after watching this very awkward skin crawling moment, she's now back at Madame Vorna's, and Madame Vorna, she's doing her night skincare routine. Kathy's freaking out because she's like, hell no, I'm not marrying this guy. Are you crazy? He's fucking huge. And Madame Vorna has to remind her, it's like, it's okay, it's fine. You're gonna get married, he's gonna get money, he's going to die, you're gonna be rich. C'est la vie. Now here, have a Scooby snack. And after this night of realizing who she's gonna marry, we go into the next morning. She's having lunch with her old coworker, telling her the whole scenario of what's going on. She's like, Madame Vorna told me I'm going to marry this huge fat guy, but I'm going to get money. I don't know what to do. Should I do it? I don't want to do it. He's too fat. Should I do it? And so her friend's just like, well, I mean, if he's going to die, might as well, right? And while they're sitting talking about this, Kathy's just imagining the entire time, like all the different ways that the big guy can die. It's like, oh, is he gonna die choking on a chicken wing, or is he gonna get hit by a car? But no, a car's not gonna do it. He's got to get hit by a giant truck. And it's so funny because this is back way in the 90s when practical effects were just like, put a dummy in the street, hit it with a car. Boom! It's just very funny stuff. But after going through all this in her mind with her friend at lunch, fine. I'll do it. I'll go through with it. If I get the money, we'll be fine. So she's going to take that leap. And now it's a new night at work. Kathy's just hanging out at the bar with her boss. In comes the large man doing some more creeping. Just he emerges from the shadows pretty much. It's just he's a big guy, but he just comes out of fucking nowhere. And so the big guy comes in, he sits down, watching the girls up on stage. He's grooving, he's having a good time. And Kathy comes up and he greets her in the most like ick way. He's like, "Hey, baby." And this is where he like starts asking her about a date. He's like, "Are you busy tonight? Because I was thinking when you get off work, we could go dancing." She's like, "No, busy." Like, "You're busy what night aren't you busy? You're too busy to go out for dinner. You're too busy to go out dancing. When aren't you?" And she's just trying to tell him, it's like, "Dude, I'm busy." But he stops her. He's just like, "Shh, shh, shh." And she's like, "What?" And this guy is so delusional. He's like, "If you feel that connection between us," and he's like, "Come on. Come on." She finally thinks about it and she says, "Okay." And he's like, "Okay." Like he's giddy. He's all excited about this now. She walks away to go get him his drink. She's like, "Rob Roy, right?" And then she finally asks him, "What's your name?" And he gives his name. His name is Charlie. Charlie Marno. And it's a pleasure to meet you. And after Charlie finally gets his yes, you see them out in the movies, and he does one of those classic cheesy, arm over the shoulder, kind of groping a little, getting a little handsy in the theater. And after the movies, they go to a giant Chinese buffet, and just filled table. Charlie's stuffing the shit out of his face, and then they go dancing, and he is not light on his feet. I think he broke Kathy's foot. I don't know. And we finally get through the date. We saw the movie, we had dinner, we went dancing. The works, right? Finally walks her up to the door, and he leans in, gives her a kiss, just very awkwardly. Just you even feel uncomfortable watching it. He's walking away, looks inside like a fucking creep. Finally walks away, goes home. But you see a glimpse inside of Kathy's kitchen, and Kathy just throws up everywhere in the sink. And then some time passes, and you see Charlie coming in to the bar yet again. It's like, dude, seriously, you need to. If I was a manager, I would be like, it's a bit much, man. You gotta calm down. But this is the '90s. People didn't really give a shit. So we're back at the bar. Charlie comes waltzing in. He's got like this brand new tux on. He's all decked out in new duds, and he's just so delusional that he's just like, "Hey, I know I don't have much. I know that, but I got some prospects in line. Will you marry me?" Oh, whoa, like how long has it been? Boom, we're right into it. But he does mention the rich uncle, and that's Kathy's key. That's her green light, and she says yes. Kathy says yes to marrying this huge fucking stranger. She doesn't care. She doesn't care about the love or anything. She wants the money. Get your priorities straight. So we get a quick glimpse of the wedding, and then we see them getting it ready for their honeymoon. I don't know, christening. I don't know how to explain this one because they're just on their honeymoon and she's going to sleep with him for the first time. And it's just so uncomfortable for anybody watching, really. It really captures a good vibe. This is what I'm talking about when we finally get back into Tales from the Crypt, giving you that feeling. Again, there's a little bit of humor in this with some of the, the fat suit or the dummy getting hit by the truck, all this kind of just goofy stuff, but it's also eerie. It's skin crawling. It's just, ugh. And I love it. It's got a good combination of everything because you can just kind of feel Kathy being so uncomfortable by this. It makes you cringe inside. But after the honeymoon night, this is where they do a good way of keeping you in a timeline because we're not just going to fast forward in time to a next scene that's months later. No, we're gonna see, how do I explain this? They do a Showtime dance of the two up on stage, but as the dance goes on, you get a montage glimpse of their married life, and it's not the best married life either. Kathy's just looking like Cinderella, cleaning up after Jabba the Hutt. She's vacuuming the living room. Charlie's on the couch eating just a giant fucking hoagie, and he just looks over with a face full of food. He's like, "Oh, you missed a spot over there," or she's cooking him breakfast. I'm sorry, not breakfast, second breakfast. And he's all happy and whatnot. Just, "Oh, yeah, married life, isn't it great?" She's like, "Yeah, it's real dream." And then you get a shot of her doing just the nastiest fucking laundry. It's just all of this stuff. Even though it's simple stuff that you do daily in life, it's something that just makes you crawl a little bit. I don't know why. It's just gross. But I really enjoyed how they did the montage just to show you snippets of their life. And then we fast forward 3 months later. You don't lose track of time anywhere. You're right there through it all, and it doesn't feel like a time skip. So I thought they did really well on that. But like I said, we fast forward 3 months. They're in bed again, but Kathy's pulling that old trick of, oh, I got a headache tonight. She pops some aspirin or whatever, and for some reason during this, she finds it appropriate to ask about her uncle and all his money for some reason. He's like, why are you worried about my uncle? It's like, is he gonna help us out with money if he dies, or like who gets all the money? It's like, yeah, well, no, he's got a family and we're not gonna get shit. And Kathy just starts freaking the fuck out. It's like, what the fuck, Charlie? You didn't tell me your uncle had a family. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you crazy? Like, what's the big deal? She's like, what's the big just my fucking future. That's what the deal is. And now that she found out that the uncle is not the key to the money of this huge fat guy, she feels like she made a mistake. So she goes back to Madame Borna. She's like, yo, what the fuck? I'm not getting money from him. Are you really? She's like, no, honey. You're going to come into a lot of money. He's going to die a violent death. It's going to be fine. You're going to be taken care of. Don't worry. Like, how am I supposed to believe you? I don't believe any of this shit. So she storms out and she goes into this Aromats chain to grab some food or whatever. And it's one of those millionth customer sweepstakes. She starts getting ambushed by all these people with cameras, and the press is there. It's like paparazzi. They're there to congratulate her on your Hudson Automats chain's 1 millionth customer. Here's $1 million. Woo! It's like, holy shit. She's taken back. She's like, what the fuck is going on? $1 million out of nowhere. And she says out loud accidentally, she's like, Madame Vorna's a dumb bitch. He's like, what? What was that? It's a thrill to be rich. Like, okay, that's not what you said, but all right, we'll take it. But now that Kathy has her $1 million, I don't know how that check cleared so fast. But she comes back home to Charlie, who's in the kitchen cooking dinner, just decked out. She's got like this Cruella de Vil jacket on. But since she has her money, she doesn't need Charlie anymore. She's not going to wait around for this quote unquote inheritance. She's tired of this life. It's been 3 months of this shit. It's like, fuck this. I'm out of here. I got money. You don't. Peace. While she's doing all this, Charlie's like, what's going on? I'm in the kitchen. I'm cooking dinner for us tonight. You know, I'm cooking up some nice vegetables. I'm being good to you, right? Right? Just don't leave. No, don't leave me. Don't leave me. And he's like, I thought what we had was special. I thought you loved me. She's like, I never fucking loved you. Are you kidding me? Who could ever love you? Oh my God, you're disgusting. See this? You see all this money? It's mine. I got it. And I don't fucking need you. And then she's like about to leave. You kind of see the break in Charlie, right? And he goes back in the kitchen and he's trying to process everything. It's not processing well because he turns around and comes back into the living room and he looks at Kathy and he pulls out his hands, and in his hands he has a knife. It's the classic love psycho moment where it's, if I can't have you, nobody can. He gets a hold of Kathy and he's holding up the knife and he's looking at her all just crazy eyed. And Kathy's just like, Charlie, put the knife down. Come on, just put the knife down. And he's just like, okay, I'll put the knife down. And he just starts going at her. He's like, if I can't have you, nobody can. In my opinion, it's such a good performance at that end. He's just screaming and just hacking her up. He love knifes her. And unfortunately, Charlie's not getting away with this one. He just murdered a millionaire who was thrown on television and in the news for winning this. So he doesn't get away with it. We see a glimpse of Kathy's funeral. And even at Kathy's funeral, they're calling her a gold digger. It's so sad. Everybody knew what her intentions were, except for Charlie. But we get a glimpse of Kathy's funeral. And then this is where I like to mix the episodes into one universe almost, because Charlie's getting the death penalty by electrocution. I really want to bring it back to episode 1 and think that it was Niles' electric chair, even though he's not throwing the switch. But Niles did get his wish back in episode 1. He wanted electrocutions to be televised, and that's exactly what happens. Charles gets electrocuted on television, and Madame Vorna is watching the execution live on TV. And as she's watching TV, in the back, you see a new customer walk in. I believe it was Kathy's old coworker looking for a fortune teller, and the cycle just repeats itself. I don't know what her story is, but I have a feeling it's not going to end well, just like how it didn't end well for Kathy. That's the episode. And if we're going to take away something from this one, marry for the right reason. Go for love. Don't go for money, because that's just going to end up in a very bad spot like it did for Kathy. I think that would just be the moral that I get. But I'm just, whatever. I'm alone. I'm alone on Valentine's Day with you. Well, I'm not alone. I got you. And I got you. You're right. But now, since that's the episode, let's give my review. I didn't talk about it as much as I did when I went over the last one because I had a lot to say about this. This episode, I really enjoyed. I said in the beginning, this rekindled my love for the whole series all over again. I felt like there was fantastic performances by Demi and Jeffrey. Just all around good. The story was well written. The timeline seemed to go smoothly, even though they were married for 3 months. You got a montage to show their marriage life. You don't just jump ahead and you're like, okay, so what the hell happened? You get a nice creep factor from Jeffrey in his fat suit. It's super grotesque. He almost looks like Colin Farrell in The Penguin. Like that was the vibes I was getting. Jeffrey just plays Charlie so well that it makes your skin crawl, and you see Demi's like discomfort by him as well, so it resonates a little bit better. And then you do have some of the funny moments, Trotsky getting a little frisky. You get the scarecrow getting hit by the truck, or Jeffrey's choking on the chicken and all that shit. It just all plays so well together. It all meshes perfectly, and it's just a good combination. And with all that, I would have to give this episode probably an 8 out of 10. I think they just did so great with everything that I don't have any critiques really. I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10 because it's not like a super perfect episode. Like the story's good and all, but it's a little cliche. But I think it's a very solid episode to start season 2. And I'm looking forward to going through the rest of the season. More episodes do have a very common theme to this one, but we'll get to that later on. So glad everybody for watching this episode with me. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. It's free. I got other things in the works. I do other content besides just episode reviews, and I have other things in the works. So if you want to come back and check those out, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have that bell notification on. And as always, I will catch you in the next episode. Bye.